Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Democrats are going to lose votes on this. There's going to be a handful, maybe as many as 8, 9, or 10, although I think most think will be fewer than that, who join the Republicans in opposing impeachment. There are likely to be 0 Republicans joining with Democrats in favor of impeachment. And that was not a foregone conclusion at the beginning of this process. Democrats felt like they were getting some political traction. They thought some of the moderate Republicans, some of the retiring Republicans would do what they would view as the quote-unquote right thing and support impeachment. There's almost no chance of that happening.
No chance, because they are united like the Power Rangers coming together to stop any of this evil. I don't really know what that's all about. There you go. So, yeah, they're going to lose some. In fact, they may lose somebody altogether from their party.
This is a Democratic member, a freshman Democrat from New Jersey, who frankly is worried about a primary challenge because he might vote against impeachment, and he is widely expected to go and become a Republican. And it's no small irony if the only party casualty out of this is a Democrat who becomes a Republican.
Yeah, there's a possibility, right? There's a possibility that may happen. Jeff Van Drew, who's thinking about bouncing, everybody's upset, and they're all quit. Oh, my God, you're a Democrat. We're going to quit. But it shows you, like, this is all about keeping your spot, right? That's what it's all about. It's not about, whether you think he's right or wrong or he did anything wrong. It's how loud can you yell based on the things that, again, politics nowadays is you report your score, all right? You could score 1 or 100. But never tell the other side's score. Why? Well, because how'd you guys do? We scored 8. How'd the other team do? We scored 8. How'd you guys do? We scored 8. But did you win or lose? We scored 8. That's politics. You give your side of a story. Don't listen to anybody else's. This is politics in today's tribal world, and it's not changing anytime soon. And this week, you're going to have some... Look, here's something, and Jack and I talked about it this weekend. So I went out and visited with Jack, and we talked about this. And I said, Jack, this is very historical what's going to take place. Like, this is the 3rd time in our history that we'll get to this position and we're going to impeach a president. It's only the 3rd time in our history. 1, 2, 3. You can't even... doesn't even fill up the entire hand unless you only got 3 fingers. Be like, that's weird. But 3rd time in our history, this has happened. It's big. But unlike, Clinton kind of knew where it was going, right? Like way back in the day, nobody even, we never got to this place with Nixon. Before any of this stuff happened, he resigned. So here we are right now, 3rd time in our history. And maybe more so than ever, we're tribal than we've ever been in a way that we've never, ever been before, with ways to reach each other in mere seconds and insult each other and do whatever it is that we do to battle each other in the social sphere of insanity.
This is not political.
It is.
We should not be looking at those things. This is the defense of our democracy. Do we stay a democratic republic, or do we turn into a tyranny?
We're not going to be a tyranny, so slow your roll there, Nadler. It's the way everybody, we're going to be this, we're going to be a tyranny. We're going to be a dictatorship. Next thing you know, Trump's going to be walking around some sort of military garb, right? Wearing sunglasses indoors, dyeing his hair jet black, trying to pretend he's younger. Stop it. Stop it. Let's come back to the reality that this is all politics, and that's what this is.
It has some similarities to a criminal trial, but it has some differences as well. The framers understood that impeachment, particularly the impeachment of a president, is inherently a political exercise. Senators are not required, like jurors in a criminal trial, to be sequestered, not to talk to anyone, not to coordinate. There's no prohibition.
No, and here's the thing. There isn't any of that. So imagine this, right? And that's what people like is already what's going on is, remember how it was when Nancy and Adam Schiff and Nadler controlled everything? They were pissed and they were angry and they were screaming and they were yelling, and the Republicans at times were acting childlike and doing what they want, and everybody made fun of them on the left. That's stupid. You have everything you want. Well, already now, Mitch is seeing this, and you've got Schumer coming out and he's already pissed off.
Instead of talking to me, he spoke publicly about what a trial may look like, and said he was taking his cues from the White House. It was very partisan, very slanted, very unfair.
Stop your whining. You guys had your moment. You had your chance. You knew what this was going to be. This was never going to be anything else. This is not an impartial jury. It's politics, right? At no point in time on a jury anywhere else, right, in America. So let's just say you're on a jury today and you voted to convict somebody of something and then you lose your job. I voted to convict or I voted to acquit. And based on that, I lost my job or I was ostracized in the community or that's insane. And the other thing is, think about this. The jury, the 100 jurors, have spoken out about this for 2.5 years. They have either stood with Trump or battled against Trump. They have done all of these things. You're not impartial. You're political. That is the reality of this. Whether you like it or not, the reality is this is what it looks like. It's politics. So you can call it all that you want to call it. I'm just going to call it the political world that we live in, and we'll move on, knowing exactly what's coming. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson. Shoo is your Twitter. Ho, ho, ho. Not too far away from the holidays. You better get your packages out.
If you're hoping to get your gifts off in time for Christmas, Monday marks the deadline for ground and home delivery via FedEx. There are express 2-day and overnight options, but you'll have to pay extra. For UPS, Thursday marks the deadline for UPS 3-day select. For the U.S. Postal Service, this is expected to be their busiest week of the year. All first-class packages are due by Friday. The priority mail deadline is Saturday.
Yeah, so you better get your packages out there. I think I've got most of mine out, but it's crazy, right? Because you start to think, oh, what do I need this? And what about that? And, oh my goodness. It's nuts. It's nuts trying to get everything out there. Right? And I was reading stories today about like the Amazon people working so hard they can't even go to the bathroom. Look, I'll be honest with you. If I worked at a company that told me I couldn't go to the bathroom, I'd be like, I don't think I'm going to work here anymore. What if they need their job? I don't think I'm going to work here anymore. Right? The economy's good. I'll figure something else out. Right? Like producer Phil, if I told you couldn't go to the bathroom for 4 hours or 8 hours, you'd tell me to shut the blank up.
Twice.
Yeah, twice. I drink a lot of water. Are you kidding me? Thank God for the commercials. Drink all kinds of water. Oh, my Lord. That's just insane. And look, and I'm not saying that they're not busting the hump. When I was a kid, I worked for UPS, so they had like and it was insane. So they had like a seasonal thing, and I was training soccer, and I was, but it was a job at night, and it was like from like 9 till 1 in the morning or whatever. So you'd go in, and man, you busted your hump. You'd have to fill up an entire UPS thing, and they made you back in the day. They made you memorize almost every zip code in the country, so you knew where it went, the whole 9 yards. It was crazy, but I had to go to the bathroom. They were like, "You can go to the bathroom." Great, okay. That's nuts. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Hope you had a good weekend. So Jack and I went and saw Jumanji. I'll tell you about that a little bit later. But he says to me, Dad, what are we going to do? And I said, well, we'll have a lot of fun, right? So we went and saw Jumanji, and, that's a great way to start your breakfast, by the way. It's like, would you like some popcorn and a hot dog and an early morning drink? Yeah, absolutely. And so we went and saw Jumanji. We had fun with that. And then we went and played video games, right? Like, video games are so crazy. Like, it's no longer quarters. I mean, you know that. It's like everything's electronic, and you got to swipe it, and that's totally cool. And so we went and did that. But Jack and, like, all these kids are obsessed with getting tickets. So you can go up to the thing, and, you go. And I was telling everybody the other day, there is, and if you're a parent out there, if you have taken your nieces, your nephews, whatever it is, maybe even it's you. It is easier to go into a car place and start the process of purchasing a car and actually go through, like, you ever think, I'm going to go buy a car. It should be easy. Next thing you know, you're for like 8 hours, right? And you're like, talking to the person, it's like, it's just insane. You're signing 8,000 things. Then what it is with kids trying to pick from the wall of how many tickets do I have, right? It's like you can get an eraser for 300 tickets, but oh, geez, I'm only 48,000 tickets shy of like the PS2. And it was like, and it's like we were there for an hour. Just there. Like we played video games for an hour, and then we were an hour at the counter. And I finally, it's like, dude, I'm going to go sit down. I'm tired. I'm over this. Oh my God. They're so serious. Like, okay, I'll have an eraser that I'm going to lose in 5 minutes. And I'll take one, what is that? Is that a, oh yeah, a Tootsie Roll. I'll take a Tootsie Roll for 75. It's like, it is kids' version of the Wheel of Fortune. But it's not timed. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. A lot of stuff to get to today. We're going to try to squeeze it all in. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Rent free.
I was just telling the guys, according to Condé Nast, right? So, Pakistan is the number one tourist destination. Like the same place that I want to double check. This is the same place that gave Osama, said, hey, Osama, you can come here and just chill. But it's the top travel destination. Look, and there are places in Pakistan. It's right next to India. But like, I don't even know. I mean, like maybe for other people that aren't Americans, this would be an awesome place to go. There are just certain places, and as beautiful as it may be in certain areas, right? You've got a lot of valleys there that are gorgeous. You got a lot of that stuff. But the reality is, if you're thinking to yourself, hey, you know what'd be fun? I would absolutely love to be kidnapped on holiday. Pakistan's the place for you. I'm just saying. Pakistan. You could go to White Island and the volcano or Pakistan. Either way, I'm thinking, 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Trump today talking Giuliani.
He's a very great crime fighter.
Now, he's talking about Giuliani. Just want to let you guys know this, right? I can't even keep a straight face when he says this.
He's a very great crime fighter. He was probably the greatest crime fighter over the last 50 years, very smart. He was the best mayor in the history of the city of New York. He's a great person who loves our country, and he does this out of love.
I can't even keep a straight face. He's a great crime fighter. He's a great crime fighter. Look over there. Is that Batman? No. It's Rudy Giuliani. What's he doing? What's he have on him? He has stop and frisk. I just love that. He's doing it out of love, kids. He's a great crime fighter.
He does it out of love. He sees what goes on. He sees what's happening. He sees all of the hoax that happens when they talk about impeachment hoax or the Russian collusion delusion. And he sees it, and he's a great gentleman.
Entertaining, to say the least. He's a great crime fighter. Of all of the crime fighters, I can think of a lot of great crime fighters. I don't know if that's one of them. But hey, kids, you know what? It is what it is. Congratulations to him. And here's the one thing you can say about Trump. In certain people, he has absolute. If you show him loyalty, I think he's going to show you some loyalty back. Not always, right? But I'm telling you, man, I think if you left there in a huff, but you didn't do anything, I think he'll let you go, right? But you go out and you fire arrows at him, he's going to fire, he's going to fire bullets back. And but Giuliani is like, he is running interference all day. And I still think he's got a Giuliani problem. I do. Speaking of problems.
The FAA does not comment on Boeing business decisions, says a statement from the regulatory agency. It says it's following a thorough process with international safety regulators for returning the Boeing 737 MAX to passenger service. A statement from Boeing echoes the FAA in saying safety is its first priority. It's cooperating with regulators, determining appropriate training requirements for the 737 MAX. And employees who'd usually be working on that model will be reassigned.
Yeah, because they're going to halt production, and we've talked about it. This is just an ugly situation. This plane is a mess. And now you could come out in 3 or 4 years when you think you have everything sorted out and you can rebrand it. But the average person that knows anything or hears anything about airplanes is saying to themselves, I don't want to fly on that. I don't, right? Husbands and wives are asking their pilot husbands and wives and asking the what are they, flight attendants? I don't even know what to call them anymore. The air people, flyer routers, whatever non-gender neutral thing that doesn't offend anybody. Are you taking one of those airplanes? Are you flying on those? They're going to have to rebrand. And we've talked about, this is a decade of absolute crush for them. This really is. And it's really interesting because I'm trying, everybody's screaming at, you guys lied, you guys did all these things. And you know what? There's a lot of funny business going on when it came to this. The Boeing, the MAX, the whole 9 yards. But I continue to look at the FAA and say, while they were doing some stuff, you guys were sure looking the other way in a few different ways. You guys seemed to cozy up to them. You guys seemed to be all right with all that was going on. Because at the end of the day, somebody signed off that says, hey, this plane here, yite. So maybe, just maybe, there's a lot of issues here. But this, I think, is going to be a lost 5 to 10 years. And if this thing comes back, it'll be rebranded something else. Because the MAX has that name. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. A couple people just texted. We were talking earlier, when you take kids to places like the arcade and the game place, and they can win. Like, nowadays everybody gets a card and you swipe the card and it tells you how many tickets you got. Then you go to the ticket counter and it's like Wheel of Fortune for kids where they have to buy stuff for their tickets. And Jack was so frustrated over the weekend that he's like, I'm just going to keep my tickets. I'm just like, okay. And the things they give you, all the good stuff, is like, I told Jack, you want to win that PS4? I said, I can buy you 20 PS4s for the amount of money it's going to cost us to win it. But it's about his victory. No, it's not. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Our whole country is thriving. It's thriving like never before. The jobs numbers are incredible. Best in 51 years.
Let me tell you something. For all the craziness of Trump, for all the lunacy, for everything, his best friend is still the economy. And as we head into 2020, the economy is roaring, and say what you want. And that independent that's going to get in there. I want you guys to think about this for a second. 130,000 voters, give or take, that are going to participate in 2020. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. We never know. But think about this for a second. Chances are 250 to 500,000 people are going to decide this next election. In Illinois, Michigan, Florida, Wisconsin, Ohio. Oh, yeah. Think about that for a second. Pennsylvania. So you got 6 states. Chances are 50 to about 100,000 people in those states in certain areas are going to decide this. Those are the battleground states. Those are the states that are going to decide who the next president is. And if Trump carries 4 out of 6, if he carries 6 out of 6, he's going to win. Right? And the same could be said the other way. There's not going to be a lot of surprises. Very few states are probably going to flip. Arizona, it's possible. Right now, see, the thing is, when you compare Trump in a lot of these polls to other, like, there's 14 different candidates, and then we're down to 6 different candidates, and then we're down to 5 that could possibly have a chance to be the nominee. And then you look over at Trump and you go, compare them to this, and this. And then it gets to the point where you're down to 1 or 2, and it's a totally different ballgame. It is a totally different ballgame. But those states, the Florida, Illinois, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin, those right there are going to sway the election for this country. Those 6 states right there. Not that other states aren't important, but we are so dialed in other states. And there's a few states. Again, Arizona has become somewhat potentially. He only won Arizona by 3 points, 3.5 points. It potentially could be a toss-up. But those other states are the states that are going to sway this. So we'll see what takes place. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. I love hearing from every single one. You can text the program as well. Oh, my Lord. This is fun. This is fun. We're going to talk about this, okay? I want you guys to understand something here. Greta, people give me crap for Greta. You hammer on Greta. I don't hammer on Greta. I love her spunk, right? Now, she's walked back some words that she said over the weekend. She does tend to pick a lot of fights. There's a new movie coming out for her, and now Deadline in Hollywood, Deadspin in Hollywood's asking the questions, is she manufactured? We'll touch on that later. But over the weekend, talking about, yes, climate change.
It is not fair that the older generations are handing over the responsibility to solve this crisis to us young people, who have not started this crisis. It is not fair that we have to do all this.
Over the weekend, she said something about putting the older generation up against the wall, says mistranslation. You know, that's putting somebody up against the wall, essentially like a firing squad. And people are hammering her for it. And Trump got hammered for even mentioning her, which, you know, I mean, when you put yourself in the public eye, and be honest, like somebody asked me over the weekend, we were talking about, you know, they said, well, you know, I heard you mention David Hogg, and then I heard you mention, you know, her. And I said, let me tell you something. I understand her spunk and her passion and the whole 9 yards. I feel like she's being completely used by the media. I think there's a really, really big machine behind her that likes the fact that she's kind of the face of this and the whole 9 yards. I don't think she started out that way. But, you know, they thought, oh, this will be good, right? Like she's as manufactured at times, I feel, as much as half the damn pop stars that are out there. In saying that, David Hogg did go through something, right? Did he at times potentially run with it? Yeah. Did you hear stories about him running out there looking for the biggest newscast that was out there that he can get his face on? Did some of that stuff? Yeah, but he went through something. And you know, again, as he's gotten older now, it's like this whole thing's kind of went away. Right, with him. And for her, they feel like, well, she's 16, you know, but Trump doesn't care and he goes after her, which I don't like. And, you know, did I think it was, you know, he just told her to go see a movie. It's so funny because what he tweeted was stupid. I'm not going to lie to you there. Right. In saying that, though, you know, it's people are like, well, he attacked her because she has Asperger's. I'm like, really? Because I didn't get that. I think he said she needs to work on her anger management, maybe go see a movie and have a laugh. Saturday Night Live had a laugh.
In 10 years, this snowman won't exist. Her home will be a puddle. Santa, reindeer, the North Pole, all of it, gone. The ice caps will melt and the elves will drown. Greta! What? You said keep it light. So merry may be our last Christmas to all. And Donald Trump, step to me and I'll come at you like a plastic straw comes at a turtle. I can't believe I'm saying this to a 70-year-old man, but grow up.
Oh, Kate McKinnon, I love that. It was funny. Why do you think she's being used? People, oh, Chad, you shouldn't talk about it. No, I'm all about it. I like her spunk and the whole 9 yards, but I also think that there's, you know, she likes a little bit of the victim. Over the weekend, she picks a fight with a German rail company, right? And you know, she was taking the train and she's sitting in, you know, they're in first class and she has like an entourage and she's tweeting out something and people are attacking them and they fired back at her saying, hey, look, you know, her group is in first class. And by the way, I don't know how they got there. I don't know how they got from point A to point B. I don't know if there's a magical railway that lives on, you know, fairy farts and unicorn tears, but they got to where they went to. And the UN, they parted not so friendly on the whole climate change thing. And, of course, America got blamed for that, as did other parts of the Western world. Right, other parts of they've got some stuff they thought they wanted done, but it's not enough. It's never enough. It's never enough. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Love hearing from you. So, is he in trouble? This is very interesting. There are reports out about Bloomberg that I find to be very, very interesting.
The allegations echo what's found inside the booklet from 1990, the portable Bloomberg, which has dogged the presidential candidate for decades. In it, Bloomberg is quoted as saying, if women wanted to be appreciated for their brains, they'd go to the library instead of to Bloomingdale's. I know for a fact that any self-respecting woman who walks past a construction site, doesn't get a whistle, will turn around and walk past again and again until she does get one.
Oh. Not in today's world. We go and take whatever you said back then, we grab it, and we pull it in, and we're going to, everything that happened then, we're going to treat as if it happened today. And those are, you see that, you hear that, those are some harsh words.
Bonnie Josephs first represented Sakai when she sued Michael Bloomberg and his company. Joseph says she interviewed a dozen employees at the time who described a sexist atmosphere full of raunchy behavior.
At the parties, the male employees sometimes put plastic breasts on them, which squirted water from the nipples.
The allegations echo what's found inside the booklet from 1990, the portable Bloomberg, which has dogged the presidential candidate for decades.
Decades. Isn't it funny, though? It's like it dogged him kind of, but not enough to make it so he couldn't be mayor. Right? It's like a lot of these things. It's the same thing we see with judges, right? Like, until they become the Supreme Court justice, everybody kind of goes, it's no big deal, right? But the minute you become a candidate to be a Supreme Court justice, all of a sudden it's like, well, hold on a second. Remember when I voted you for before? I can't vote for you now. Because that thing you did that you didn't do, but you might have done, but it doesn't really matter because we'll see. We'll see. I mean, he's put together, there was a great article this weekend talking about how he has put together a machine. And it is a machine. It feels like it's a machine that he's trying to put together. And it is, and it's not, and take away the politics of it all. Just look at it from a business stand. He's taking things from business, things that he's learned from the past, things that he has been successful at, and he is building a well-oiled machine that, yes, the money helps tremendously, but I think he's also putting people in place that seem like, hey, they know exactly what they're doing, and they're paying well. I mean, he's paying huge money comparatively to what others are paying him. Like, some of his lowest paid people are getting paid like $6,000 a month, and you go and look at other, unionized, Bernie and everybody else, they're not getting paid anywhere near that. So, yeah, he's put together a machine, and again, the money doesn't hurt. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. I'll give you my my critics' assessment of Jumanji 2. Went and saw it this weekend. We'll talk a bit about that. New movie trailer debuted today with Tom Cruise. We'll touch on that as well. Oh, kids, it's the Chad Benson Show.
I'm so tired. I'm exhausted.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I came back and things actually got worse.
Flip that. Things are a lot better than expected for Jumanji, the next level.
Jumanji.
Forecast to earn maybe $50 million at best. The sequel opened with $60.1 million. $24 million more than Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle's 2017 opening, and more than enough to knock Frozen 2 out of the box office top spot it held for 3 weeks.
You're a national hero now. Thank you, sir.
Clint Eastwood's Richard Jewell, a disappointing 4th place debut with just $5 million.
Yeah, it was not a good weekend, and a lot of people were speculating it was the press because they were on all over talking about how horrible it was and it's all lies and blah, 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 blah. I think it's one of those movies. It's kind of adultish, and I'm not talking about that kind of adultish. I'm just it's about the Atlanta bombing, and it's if you're not interested in that, it's not going to get you. It's like you can look at something that's adult in nature, but still kid in nature in a lot of ways when it comes to the Tom Hanks, Mr. Rogers, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood movie that has legs. This is a bit different. And, it wasn't, didn't do as well. I think he thought it was going to do. It was the worst opening he's ever had, I think. That's crazy. Because it looks like a really good movie. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. With all that going said, there is still music out there. Yeah, there is. Yeah, I'm not buying any of it, but I listen to it sometimes on the YouTube. Most of it's old and really bad. You want to know what the horrible song I was listening to today, Producer Phil?
What was that?
Dr. Hook. Remember Dr. Hook? Oh, yeah. It was awful. I was listening to Dr. Hook. People are going, oh, when you're in love with a beauty. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was listening to that because I like bad 70s music.
Mariah Carey's classic is number one on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart for the first time. The 25-year-old tune's previous peak was number 3, which it hit last year. And it's only the second holiday song to ever top the chart. Last time was 1958-59. When the Chipmunk song hit number 1, and it stayed there for 4 weeks. All I Want for Christmas Is You is Carey's 19th number 1, extending her record as the solo artist with the most chart toppers.
Yeah, crazy. And it's her biggest moneymaker ever. That's what's crazy. That's what we talk about, man. Phil and I, we're thinking, okay, what's the holiday we can do stuff at? Because if you hit it right and you're patriotic, you do like Lee Greenwood, Proud to be an American. That is he's locked up, right? Like 4th of July, Memorial Day, Veterans Day. I mean, he's locked that up. But Christmas is another one. You lock up, or even, Halloween, right? You lock up one of those holiday songs, you are winning. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You're winning. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of somebody who's not winning and pissing everybody off because he's just an awful human being, actually doing an interview from the hospital, Harvey Weinstein.
In the article, Weinstein, who is accused by more than 80 women of sexual harassment, assault, or rape, proclaimed, "I feel like the forgotten man." The 67-year-old pointing to decades spent as a Hollywood producer, telling the Post, "I've made more movies directed by women and about women than any filmmaker. And I'm talking about 30 years ago. I did it first. I pioneered it." But a very different reaction to those words from 23 women who came forward to report Weinstein's sexual misconduct, including Ashley Judd and Rose McGowan. In a new statement, the women claim Weinstein is trying to gaslight society again.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? So he gives this, and talks about it. And there are women out there that I think behind the scenes still talk to him. I think behind the scenes, he never did anything to. Or behind the scenes, there are still women out there that he did stuff with, and they just kind of thought, you know what, this is what it is, right? Like I'm giving something and I'm getting something, and I kind of went into knowing that that's a possibility, but at the same thing, he fulfilled his portion of it. It's awful to think that, right? It totally is. It's totally vile to think that, but I think that there are some women out there that feel that way. Right. And some of them have, they try to explain away or not talk about Gwyneth Paltrow's and stuff of the world. And there are women out there that, quite frankly, he probably worked with that he didn't do anything with. He didn't hit on them. He didn't do anything weird with them. It was a business relationship. And that was it. Right. It's like even there's a new movie. Well, there's several new movies out about Ted Bundy. And like Ted Bundy killed all those people, but then he also had normal relationships, right? That you found out later on that person was that you didn't so much know about. or maybe you saw a glimpse into, but he didn't do that to you. And it's weird. It is. It's weird. The whole thing is, but he's out doing interviews, and he starts his trials January 6th. So we'll see. And this is his former girlfriend or lover, whatever, and she's accused him of rape. He's already settled a massive lawsuit to the tune of, I think it was $42 million, but $25 million for the victims and the future victims that may come out. Some are going to take, some aren't going to take. The fact that he's giving this, because everybody's like, oh, look, he's showing up in a walker and this, that, and the other, and he's looking for sympathy, and we'll see what he gets. We'll see if he gets anything, right? Would I be surprised if he got nothing? No, I wouldn't. I would not be surprised. I also wouldn't be surprised if he spends the rest of his life in jail. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. The Chipmunks. They had a hit. That makes me laugh. Speaking of laughing, if you haven't seen it, Top Gun, Maverick Top Gun, the trailer debuted today. And, so there you go. I wasn't a Top Gun fan anyways. It looks okay, but it's Top Gun. Although I will say that if anybody's got Benjamin Button disease, it feels like Tom Cruise. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Democrats want to bring forward some witnesses that did not testify during the House process, and that would include the acting chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, the former national security advisor here, John Bolton, and some of their top aides. They did not testify in the House because, of course, the White House was blocking them from doing so. This is essentially the Democrats trying to say to Republicans, let's negotiate. Let's try and talk about how this process can play out. But it's Republicans who will control the process in the Senate, much like we saw the Democrats do in the House.
Yes. And guess who's not happy about that? Chuck Schumer.
Instead of talking to me, he spoke publicly about what a trial may look like and said he was taking his cues from the White House. It was very partisan, very slanted, very unfair.
Very unfair. It's not fair. It's not fair. Not fair. So McConnell wants Bolton, be better if it was Michael, but whatever. We'll go with this guy. And I don't think Bolton really wants to do it. Like, here's the thing. He won't say no. If you force him, he'll gladly come, but he's not going to be the first to make a move, right? And I don't know if he's going to spill anything that would be really detrimental or not, right? They had a contentious relationship at times, but other times I think they minded each other. So you don't know, right, with Bolton. Bolton, maybe he is playing him. That'd be funny. You guys are full of crap. So they want him. They want Michael Duffy, Associate Director for National Security, Office of Management and Budget, and Robert Blair, Senior Advisor to Mick Mulvaney, and Mick Mulvaney himself. Now, will that happen? Probably not. Because, why? Well, because the control is in whose hands? This time it's now in Mitchy Baby's hands. And Mitch maybe say, you know what? I've already told you what we're going to do. We're going to do this. All right? We're going to do this. We've heard enough. We know which way we're all voting. We're going to roll with it this way. We're going to go over the evidence that's already been presented in both committees in the House. And then we're going to vote. Maybe we'll call one or two, but outside of that, we're not going to do anything spectacular. We're not going to turn this into a month-long trial. This is what it is, so you guys are going to just have to deal with it. Oh, that's not very nice. No, but that's what he says he wants to do. For Trump, I think Trump would be fine with let's do it big. You guys want to bring all these people? Great. Ask them if they're going to come. Go ahead. By the way, we're going to bring in Biden. We're going to bring in his son. We're going to bring in potentially people from Burisma, right? We're going to bring in Adam Schiff. We're going to bring in several other people. So are you prepared for that? And all this because they want to see if they can sway public opinion. And they're not going to sway it. It doesn't matter. The public's opinion is made up, and very little of it has to do with truth on either side. Most of it has to do with the disdain on the other side for the people that are coming for Trump or for the people that are protecting Trump. That's the reality of it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. And no matter how much I try to tell people this, one of the big things that this is about long term is that court, SCOTUS, right? They're going to be hearing a bunch of stuff next year, some of it that pertains directly with the president. They did rule on something today.
Homeless people who sleep on sidewalks or other public spaces cannot be prosecuted for a crime. That is what the nation's top justices decided by leaving in place a lower court ruling. The case stemmed from a Boise, Idaho ordinance that made it a crime if someone was homeless and they slept on the streets when no alternative shelter is available. An appeals court ruled that the ordinance, which fined and jailed the homeless, violated the constitutional ban on cruel and unusual punishment. The justices, without comment or dissent, decided to not hear the case, leaving in place that ruling. It impacts several Western states struggling with homelessness, a result of increasing housing costs and income inequality.
Which is not even a quarter of the story, but I think we know that, right? Like, there are people out there that are living in areas that they shouldn't be living in because they can no longer afford it. And they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Let's not pretend that that's not real. And there are people out there that are trying and they're playing catch up and they're struggling. But the majority of what we're talking about, those people sleeping on the sidewalks and a lot of what's happening, it's in places like Portland, in places like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle. We're dealing with drugs and mental illness. And those cities still have to answer the question of what the hell are you guys going to do? Los Angeles has thrown $1 billion at it, and you've created what? More homeless people, right? You've also told everybody that comes here, don't worry, no matter what you do. You want to crap on the sidewalk? Go ahead, right? You want to shoot up in front of people? Knock yourself out. You want to steal from cars? It's okay. As long as it's under $1,000, nobody cares. We're not going to prosecute you. We've allowed this to go on. And by saying to many of these cities, hey, go ahead, we're going to show you how compassionate we are, all you're doing is making it worse. That's not compassion, right? That's not compassion at all. You're not helping them at all. You're making it worse. And you're making it worse for the taxpayers and the people that have to fight with it. I grew up in Long Beach in the LA area. It is what it is now is just awful in certain areas. This park I used to go play soccer at right across the street from the beach, I wouldn't go there at all anymore. It is so nasty. And it's not a single father down and out on his luck. It's not. It is not that. It's not a mom who's escaping something. But, it's not that. It's not a family that's just in over their head and they've had some bad luck. And then you offer many of these people that are out there the opportunity to have certain spaces. Hey, you can move in here, you can do this, but there's rules. And you know what they don't want? They don't want rules attached to them. Are there people that are out there that are struggling? Yes, we all know that. They want a hand up and an opportunity, but there are too many people out there in these areas that are addicted to drugs and they have mental illness. Sometimes it's because of the drugs they have mental illness, and sometimes it is the fact that they've had mental illness for a long time and they're no longer treating it, and now it is so far out of whack. Sad, but true. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. This needs to be looked at. I'm not going to lie to you. It was disturbing to say the least. And you ask yourself, what in God's name were you thinking?
West Point says during the Army-Navy football game, some cadets and some midshipmen flashed hand signs seen on live TV, which in certain contexts are associated with white power. It looks like the OK sign, the thumb and forefinger making a circle, the remaining three fingers fully extended. West Point says it does not know the intent of the cadets. An Annapolis naval spokeswoman says they're also looking into it. Coast Guard leadership issued an official reprimand to an officer who recently used the hand sign.
Yeah, and you can see it. So they had College Game there, ESPN, and you've got all the people. So you've got like Reese Davis who's doing it, and you've got, Curb Street, and you've got Lee Corso, and you could see behind him he's doing the little okay with the three fingers down, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Right? Like, you got to look into that. Absolutely. Are you trying to get a rise out of people? Because that's insane. That is absolutely asinine, insane. And you're coming from our military. You're a cadet in some of our most prestigious schools in the country. You're going to be leading men and women, and that's what you're doing? No, sorry. That's an issue for me. That is. That is an absolute issue. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. A little bit more impeachment talk. We got a lot of good stuff coming up, including the butt slap heard around the world that is now becoming a crime. Oh, yeah. Straight ahead. A little What's Trending. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Lots this holiday season. Bum-ba-dum. First, let's start in the old world of Twitter. Find out what's trending. Vote no is trending. Oh, yeah. Vote no. What are we voting no about? I don't know. A lot of stuff to vote no about. That's trending. Impeachment Eve. Trending. Whoopi. Yeah. Whoopi is trending because her and Miss Megan got into an argument today. Not a shocker, right? And she kind of yelled at Megan, and Megan's like, I'm not going to speak anymore. And I'm like, oh, God. It's awful. Who watches this stuff? Who watches that? Honestly. Just curious. Oh, my Lord. Josh Gordon is trending. He's the uber-talented yet troubled wide receiver now of the Seattle Seahawks, but now no longer of the Seattle Seahawks because he's been suspended again for substance abuse. This time indefinitely, which, as we were just talking about, is quite a long time. Indefinitely. Move over to Google. Boeing stock is trending. So is Tamara Escalestone, if you guys don't know who, or Elclestone. She is a billionaire's daughter, right? He is a huge Formula One guy. Apparently she had $70 million in jewelry stolen. That's a lot of jewelry. That's a lot of money right there. Top Gun 2, trending. So is the Champions League soccer draw. Real Madrid taking on Man City. That'll be good. Liverpool takes on Atletico. That'll be also awesome as well. And PewDiePie says he was probably the most famous YouTuber out there, I would easily say. I don't think there's anybody else bigger. He says he's going to back down from doing a lot of stuff right now. He's exhausted. I get that. I can't even imagine. I was telling, like, Jack and I were talking about this over the weekend. So for those of you guys new to the show, my son's 9, and he and I were chatting about, like, because that's what kids want to do now. They all want to be vloggers and all of that stuff. And we were chatting, and I watched some of the stuff that he has. He has SS Sniper Wolf, and he's got this, Dang Matt Smith and Infinite List, and all of these people that he follows, and their life is 24/7 everywhere. And that is a lot to commit to, right? Like, where you can't even go, like, there's no just going out and it's always something. And it's a job, right? Like, oh, that'd be great. But then you think to yourself, is it really as great as it sounds? I mean, it sounds like it's a lot of work. And it is work. I don't care what anybody says. That's a lot of crap to go through on a day-to-day basis. Like, just non-stop filming yourself. And then you got to cut it up. And you got to edit. Some of them, and now you've got several mediums that you have to be involved in. You have to be in TikTok now. And then you got to do some Snapchat. And then over here you got to do Instagram. And then don't forget about Twitter. And then you've got your YouTube channel or your Patreon channel. And one of them's going to be for this, and the other one's going to be for pictures only. And this one's it's great. And you strike while the iron's hot. But at some point in time too, it's like it's a never-ending barrage. And I don't know, like, that's a lot to let people into. Like, it's not like being a TV actor or movie actor where you show up and you have 6 or 8 weeks where you do a movie, maybe a few months where you're preparing for it, and then then you go off and do something else and relax, and you can go outdoors. And yeah, so I just tell them, man, be careful what you wish for, because you actually may get it. And then next thing you know, you look up and you're like, holy moly. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. So we have the Holiday Tipping Guide 2019. All right, so this is the tipping guide for 2019. So to those who watch your children, so if you have young kids, if you have an au pair, right, equivalent of up to 1 week's pay. So if you have an au pair and a gift from the child. Babysitter, cash equivalent of up to 1 evening's pay. Daycare provider, $25 to $70 for each staff member, $10 to $20 for a school bus driver. Tutor gets about $25. Right? Then you go to your somebody who cleans your house, right? Cash equivalent of up to 1 week's pay or small gift. So somebody comes by maybe twice a month and you pay them $100 each time they do the house. You give them another $100, right? Doorman, which I've never had a doorman. Have you ever had a doorman, producer Phil? I mean, you live in a place where they might have.
Come on.
I didn't think so. So $15 to $80 in cash, 15 or more for multiple doormen or a gift, right? Right? Building super. Right? So Schneider from one day at a time. $20 to $80 in cash. Now let's get to real stuff. Handy person, $15 to $40 right there. Yard worker, somebody who does your yard, $20 to $50 in cash. Pool cleaner, the cash equivalent of up to the cost of one cleaning to be split amongst the crew. Newspaper delivery, who's that? I don't know. But if you were to see one, give them $10 in cash or $30. Package delivery, small gift, $20 range. Not bad idea. Garage attendant, $10. Trash and recycling. I have never in my life thought to give the trash man anything. I didn't know you were supposed to. You know what we did do, though? My grandma used to always give the mailman something. Always give the mailman a gift. So, now, here's when tips are not appropriate. Do not tip doctors, nurses, dentists, veterinarians, therapists, financial advisors, accountants, lawyers, and professional service workers. Holiday cards are good. Maybe some flowers, baked goods. It's always good, some of the booze is okay in certain things, right? You may know what they drink. So I was thinking to myself, but my grandma's always like, you always tip the mailman. I'm like, oh, that's really weird. So she'd always get him. She knew the guy, right? She always give him a nice little thing of booze. But I didn't know you were supposed to do some of that stuff. Like your barista? Well, I don't have a barista, right? Personal caregiver. What is that? Wow. Pilates instructor. I don't know who you guys are living with or roaming with. Pilates instructor. Would you give your Pilates instructor? Nothing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It's interesting that Buttigieg, he's faring well. I mean, let's think about this guy. A year ago, very few people knew who he was, right? He's the mayor of a small, mid-level-ish town that is more famous for the college and the football team there than for its mayor, Notre Dame, South Bend. And here he is now as a huge player in the Democratic world with a chance to potentially be the nominee at like 36 years old on the Democratic side. And he's getting hashtag Never Pete is trending everywhere. And it's really interesting because so much of the disdain that comes for Mayor Pete is from the uber left, right? So much of it is coming from the far left who can't, like Bernie and a lot, they just can't stand him because he steals their thunder. And he's like, oh, that guy makes sense. He does. I read an article this week that said this weekend, I think it was in The Guardian or whatever, and it was like that people in the LGBT community is like, he's not gay enough. You're like, okay, wait a minute. So the African American community doesn't like him, right? He's struggling there. Now people in the LGBT community, some of them are like, he's not gay enough. And he's just like, at some point in time, it's because he's a threat to them. But you're like, this guy makes sense, right? Seems to be, kind of got it together. He's not talking about insane. He could probably bridge a certain amount of people between, of disgruntled Republicans and independents who are looking at him and saying, oh, this guy's great. He's a threat to the uber progressive left because he's not talking about giving away free stuff. He's not talking about, hey, everybody gets free college, free jobs, free food. Oh, what? Free food? Oh, yeah, that's the new one from our buddy Bernie. He's giving away free food now.
Should the government subsidize lunch in public school for all children, regardless of their income?
And you know what? And breakfast and dinner as well. I believe in universality. You got a whole lot of money. You don't. You're treated differently at the lunchroom situation. Nonsense. You both are treated equally, but I'm going to have you pay more in taxes to make sure that all kids get a decent education and decent nutrition.
I believe in universality. What's that? Well, we're gonna pay for everything. We get everybody pay for stuff. It's all going to be great. It's other people's money. OPM. What can I do that's great for you by me not doing it and me giving it from somebody else? How can I do that? Pete he's a threat. It's like, yeah, you know what? Single payer for all who want it, right? If you want to keep your plan, you keep your plan. If you're happy with what you got, you're happy with what you got, fine. I'm going to give people the opportunity to choose. I've screamed for the last several years, if it was me in my ideal world, I would have done that plan a long time ago. Give people the opportunity to opt in. They're going to pay more in taxes. They're going to be limited in where they could go, right? Because you're going to be, this is what's going to happen. But in saying that, this is, you know exactly what you're going to get. You're not going to be paid. You're not going to go bankrupt or any of these things. But at the same time, your choice is going to be limited. On the other side of things, give people the opportunity to keep what they like. They'll have more choice. They're paying more. There is that chance they may run into a situation where guess what? They chose wrong. They get into a situation where it becomes expensive. But give people the choice. We want choice. He comes out and he's a threat to them. And this never Buttigieg and he's not gay enough. I'm like, are you kidding me? Wow, this guy can't win for losing because he is a threat. Because he's not so far to the left progressively. And in this day and age, you've got the uber right. You've got that. You've got just the everyday run-of-the-mill Republicans, right? And some libertarians there that lean a little bit right. You got a little bit of libertarians that lean a little bit left. You got the everyday run-of-the-mill Democrats, and then you got the uber progressives. The thing is, the uber progressives and the far, far right, they have the loudest bullhorns and the biggest bully pulpits even though they're not the biggest. And that scares people. And they scare everybody. Oh, this guy's going to do this and he's going to do that. He's talking more like a Republican than a Democrat. You need to vote for me because I'm going to give you everything free. Really? I'd like to see that. How's that work? Right? How's that work? It all sounds good till you explain it. Then they're like, yeah, I don't know about that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Greta Thunberg.
It is not fair that the older generations are handing over the responsibility to solve this crisis to us young people, we who have not started this crisis. It is not fair that we have to do all this.
Woo! It's not fair. None of it's fair. Nope, life's not fair. It's true. And yeah, you know what? Some older people along the way, we've made mistakes. We've all screwed up. That's the reality of it. Right? But it's not fair that you get to live. Could you imagine if we say, okay, fine, you know what? We need to fix it. You guys are right. Everybody who believes we need to fix it and want no part of what we did, fine. So that includes all of the inventions. That includes all of the things that we've come up with. You guys are going to have to start from scratch. And you guys are on, well, hold on a second. No, we need to take care of our world. I talk about it all the time. Absolutely. She's apologizing for some of the things she said, right? Because no matter what people say, I think that there was a little bit of that kind of stung with President Trump saying, you know, you need to be a kid, you need to go see a movie and relax a little bit, because some of the stuff, and because I think a lot of people did bring up the fact that she just wanders around and it feels like all she does is blame, and she seems to pick fights. She was on a train this weekend. She's sitting on the floor and she's like doing something and the people are attacking the train, and the train company fought back and said, hold on, she's in first class, right? There was a lot of people. She had an entourage with her. She's sitting there and they're getting demonized for it.
The adults are behaving as if there was no tomorrow. But there is a tomorrow. It is the tomorrow where we young people will live. And we have to fight for that tomorrow. We cannot no longer take that tomorrow for granted. We have to fight for that tomorrow as if our lives depended on it, because it does.
Yeah, and she said that some of the stuff, like putting older people up against the walls, it was misinterpreted. You know, the Swedish language, the English language, and maybe that's true or not. But it's, again, you're going to catch more flies with honey. You are. And even this weekend, right, the love of Saturday Night Live and their hatred of Trump and all things to the right also realized there's some silliness in even what she says. And they did they had her show up at the beginning of it, and it was funny.
In 10 years, this snowman won't exist. Her home will be a puddle. Santa, reindeer, the North Pole, all of it, gone. The ice caps will melt and the elves will drown. Greta! What? You said keep it light. So merry may be our last Christmas to all. And Donald Trump, step to me and I'll come at you like a plastic straw comes at a turtle. I can't believe I'm saying this to a 70-year-old man, but grow up.
Oh, that is hilarious. But think about this, right? We got rid of plastic straws. Why did we get rid of plastic straws? Because like a 10-year-old did a study of math that nobody really checked, and we thought it was a good thing to do. You got a 16-year-old here who's running around and damning the world, and bringing awareness is one thing, but then insulting everybody who can do something about it isn't the thing you do. And I saw a great meme this weekend. They're like, we have a really big problem. Well, have you tried talking to a 15-year-old to see if they can solve it for you? Some point in time, you have to laugh a little bit and say, yeah, you know what? And again, you don't have to pick fights. It's like Donald Trump. You don't have to pick fights with everybody, right? You don't. Sometimes you just take a deep breath and say to yourself, I'm not going to pick a fight here. I'm not. Speaking of Donald Trump, speaking of picking a fight, he did.
A new poll from Fox News, of all places, show that more registered voters than not
favor impeaching and removing President Trump. And the president had a stern reaction today, calling it ridiculous and saying that Fox News polls are notoriously biased towards Democrats.
Heads. Well, of course it was heads. Heads hates me, so that's why it does what it does every time. Tails hates me too. Everybody hates me. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens, fastest growing over 50 organization in the country. Plenty of stuff that they're doing for you, fighting for your behalf on things like immigration reform, right? Second Amendment, Medicare, making sure that it's going to be there, insolvent, Social Security, the same thing, as well as offering you benefits too numerous to mention. Let's go over a few. Retail, right? All kinds of retail. Restaurants, tons of restaurants. Tons of restaurants. Amusement parks, movies, insurance. You name it, they've got it. Travel, they've got it all. And right now they're offering you the opportunity to join for free. How do you do it? Go to amac.us/Chad. That's amac.us/Chad. Super easy becoming a member. And again, it's 1 year, it's free, it's on me. Or you can call them direct. 888-355-1617. 888-355-1617. Or amac.us/Chad. It's 1 year, it's free, it's on me. Chad Benson Show.
No need to fear. We promise we won't give you a noogie and make you cry Russia, Russia, Russia.
Who is the fearless leader?
Pooey.
Pooey, and double pooey.
What is your language? This is a family show, remember?
Pooey to family stew.
Nostrovia. This is Chad Benson.
New video obtained by Fox Sports highlights the confrontation between a Patriots videographer and a Bengals security official. The Patriots videographer claiming he's filming their own team's scout, but the security guard isn't buying it. According to Fox Sports, the new video shows the Patriots employee capturing 8 minutes of the Bengals sideline, potentially catching signals and plays of an opposing team, which is against league rules.
Yeah. Patriots in serious trouble here, and as much as I'm a Patriots fan, the NFL has to come down on them hard. Right? They do. They have to come down on them hard. I know what that is. Is that the suspension of Bill Belichick for 6 games or a year? I mean, it's like you were 8 minutes, and it's just a random security guard's like, you're not supposed to be doing this. They're like, oh, yeah, no, we're just capturing if you were filming the entire field, because they said it was for a documentary, like Do Your Job is this documentary that they do. It's like, okay, cool. All right, let's, it wasn't. And he's like, well, I'll just delete it now. And he's like, no. You guys are going to go downstairs. You're going to chill. And the NFL and other security is going to come and talk to you about this. And then, I look at this and I'm like, hey, you're filming. Like, you're zooming in on their hand signals and the way that they substitute and all of this stuff. You're done for, right? And you could call it what you want, but the reality is you did this and you have to pay the price for it. And what exactly that's going to be, I couldn't tell you, but I think the NFL is going to come down hard. And I wouldn't be surprised if Belichick and them get suspended for next year, like maybe can't even go through camp. And that's huge. That's huge. I mean, they already got caught in 2007 with Spygate. He got I think $250,000 or $500,000 fine. They lost draft picks, including a first rounder. And now you've got this again. Suspension is it seems to be the only thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Speaking of, we talked earlier about the reporter who got slapped on the butt and how the guy has now been arrested and he's facing criminal charges for sexual assault or sexual battery like that. Over the weekend, Harvey Weinstein sat down and gave a report, and God, he's just talk about tone deaf.
In the article, Weinstein, who is accused by more than 80 women of sexual harassment, assault, or rape, proclaimed, "I feel like the forgotten man." The 67-year-old pointing to decades spent as a Hollywood producer, telling the Post, "I've made more movies directed by women and about women than any filmmaker. And I'm talking about 30 years ago. I did it first. I pioneered it." But a very different reaction to those words from 23 women who came forward to report Weinstein's sexual misconduct, including Ashley Judd and Rose McGowan. In a new statement, the women claim Weinstein is trying to gaslight society again.
Yeah. I mean, like, the nerve, right? Like, that just feels like, wow, that's what you're doing? Like, you're talking about that? You're going out there and you have the cojones. Oh, look, hey, look. Look at all the stuff that I've done, right? Look at all the things that I have done for women, right? Talks about, you know, how I paid Gwyneth Paltrow tons of money, $10 million for an independent movie, far more than the entire cast of Men. I've done all of these things. And, you know, for a few missteps, potentially, it's like, it's as tone deaf as it gets. He's trying to rehab himself. It ain't going to work. It ain't going to work, bro. You are bad news. You are bad news. And you know, I mean, yes, and I will tell you guys this right now. There are plenty of women out there in the world of Hollywood who knew him, who said, the guy's a scumbag, but he gave me an opportunity. I'm going to keep my mouth shut, right? And there are plenty of women out there who he didn't do anything to, I'm sure, that he did give an opportunity to. But there's also plenty of women out there that he did awful things to that never got the opportunity. He's a scumbag. He is. He is a scumbag. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Oh, what will happen? It's this week. Your impeachment hearings and a vote.
President Trump has said he wouldn't mind. He would love it if Mick Mulvaney testified. Even the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, he wants a big, splashy, robust defense of him in the Senate. Take this all with a grain of salt, though. The president at one point said he would love to himself testify. It's also unlikely we see this parade of witnesses heading over and joining this Senate impeachment trial.
I'd love to testify, but I can't because I am currently being audited. So you know how it is. When you're audited, you can't testify. So we'll probably have debates coming as far as on the floor with this Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe a vote by Wednesday. Thursday, they're supposed to have a Democratic debate, which looks like it may not happen. So it's an interesting week. And again, third president to get to the point where we're going to have impeachment voted on and sent to the Senate. That's historical. But in this day and age with Trump, I don't think anything's a shock anymore. And don't be surprised that it's an uglier situation than we think in the Senate and that he gets voted in again. Crazy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Check out the Instagram as well. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I have nothing but disdain for this. I'm trying to make myself clear. What you're doing in the House is bad for the presidency. You're impeaching the President of the United States in a matter of weeks, not months. You had a 2-year investigation. That wasn't enough. I think this whole thing is a crock. You're shutting the President out. The process in the House, any partisan group could do this in the future. You're weaponizing impeachment, and I want to end it. I don't want to legitimize it. I hate what they're doing.
Oh, strong words from Lindsey Graham. He hates it. He hates what they're doing. This is the week. This is the week. Big week. Huge, massive, huge, 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 huge.
It was the day after Bob Mueller testified, the day after Donald Trump felt that he was beyond accountability for his first misconduct, that he was back on the phone, this time with President Zelensky, trying to get that country to help him cheat in the next election. That told me this president believes he is above the law and accountable to no one, and that this road was necessary.
That's what they think. What do I think? I think it's going to take place and nothing's going to come out of it other than some people are going to pay with their jobs potentially on the left. Some people are going to be looked upon on the right and said, well, look what you've done. You've sold your soul to keep your position. At the end of the day, nothing comes out of this, I think, where we say, oh, we're a better for it country. It's good that we can hold our leaders accountable. But we seem to pick and choose. That's why it is such a political thing. We do pick and choose how we hold them accountable.
This is not political. We should not be looking at those things. This is the defense of our democracy. Do we stay a democratic republic or do we turn into a tyranny?
Stop it. Stop with the tyranny. Stop with the, like, I'm so sick of people, like, just hyperbole much. Like, oh, yeah, we can't stand another 4 years. I don't think we'll be a nation after 4 years. I'm like, another 4 years is going to destroy us. Just, it's impossible to last another 4 years. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like, that's, it's the same people on the other side who screamed about the fact that, your gods and guns were going to be taken away. So no gods for you, no God, right? You're all going to be in a Sharia law. Obama's going to take your guns, right? If you're not gay, you're going to be forced to be gay. I mean, like, all the insanity of the fear, it's just flipped over. It's enough. And yes, it is political because it's politics, and everything you guys do is based on politics. What's best for my politics, which is my job, right? What's best for me? So don't tell me it's not politics. Absolutely it is politics. Now, in saying that, does it change anybody's mind? I don't think it does. Doesn't mean there aren't people out there speaking up from both sides about maybe this isn't what we should be doing, or maybe it is what we should be doing.
He be removed from office if you ran for Senate, again, if you were in the Senate?
I think it is vital that he be impeached. Whether removed this close to an election, I don't know. But I think the conduct is impeachable.
Carly Fiorini, I'm sure she's going to be getting many tweets about how evil she is, right? And then on the other side, right, you have people who are worried what may take place because they're in a position where, quite frankly, Trump won their district. Trump won their area. Trump won it in a big way. And they're looking around saying, am I going to pay the absolute price for this?
Democrats are going to lose votes on this. There's going to be a handful, maybe as many as 8, 9, or 10, although I think most think will be fewer than that, who join the Republicans in opposing impeachment. There are likely to be 0 Republicans joining with Democrats in favor of impeachment. And that was not a foregone conclusion at the beginning of this process. Democrats felt like they were getting some political traction. They thought some of the moderate Republicans, some of the retiring Republicans would do what they would view as the quote-unquote right thing and support impeachment. There's almost no chance of that happening.
No, none, 0, zilch, nada. It's just not going to happen the way they think. And then you've got Jeff Van Drew, who was a Democrat that was very outspoken about the fact that he didn't feel comfortable with this, thought it was going rather fast, was going to vote against it. And now he's saying, well, hold on a second. Do I even need to be a Democrat anymore?
President Trump had a chance to meet with New Jersey Democratic Congressman Jeff Van Drew on Friday to discuss impeachment and possibly switching parties. Van Drew has in the past voiced his opposition to impeachment. So far, House Republicans appear to remain united behind the president. Republican leaders say they believe impeachment has been something that Democrats have eyed ever since the president's surprise victory back in 2016.
Yeah, which I think is very real. In saying all of that, it's going to play itself out. Right? It's going to play itself out. Schumer's been on TV all day today talking about the people he wants there, right? He wants Bolton, he wants Mulvaney, and a few other people. There are things that he's going to want. He's already, clamoring that it needs to be this way, it needs to be this way. Remember, you had your way in the Senate. You had your way in the House. Now it's the Senate, and it'll be interesting to see how Mitch does it because Mitch wants to get it over quick, clean, very sterile, very surgical. Let's get it done in 10 to 14 days. Let's just be very surgical about this. I don't want to call anybody new. I don't want anybody coming here. I want to go over all the stuff that we already have because there's enough to make the decision there, and then we'll vote the way that we already know we're going to vote. We're going to move on with our lives. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Guess what, kids? We're not too far away from Christmas. Can you believe this? It's the 16th, right? Christmas is next Wednesday. Have you got everything you need? Because if you haven't, you better start getting busy today, especially if you're doing like so many people do, which is buy online, get it to your house, then you got to either A, ship it somewhere else, or B, have it shipped from wherever it's going. And you better do it now before it's a sad Christmas day.
If you're hoping to get your gifts off in time for Christmas, Monday marks the deadline for ground and home delivery via FedEx. There are express 2-day and overnight options, but you'll have to pay extra. For UPS, Thursday marks the deadline for UPS 3-day select. For the U.S. Postal Service, this is expected to be their busiest week of the year. All first-class packages are due by Friday. The priority mail deadline is Saturday.
Yeah, so got to get it out there. I've got most of my Christmas stuff done, which I'm pretty proud of. Because when I was younger, it's like my birthday's Friday. So when I was younger, it's like, well, hold on a second. I'm not going to Christmas shop till I have my birthday. Then I'll Christmas shop. But that was back in the day when you weren't really mailing anything, you know, and even if you got stuff, like we're so instant gratification. We want it that day. It's like you could give a kid something on the 26th, and it's not the same. It isn't. It's weird. Like, I used to like it. Oh, I'm going to get a present on the 26th and 28th. It's not the same. So people want their stuff when they want it. So most of my stuff's done, which I'm pretty happy about. A couple little knickknacks here and there, you know, some stocking stuff stuff like that. But I got onto it early, and there's so many people I talk to that they're not even close. They're not even close to getting it done. I'm like, really? Really? And I made a decision too. Like, a lot of what I do is I love to give memories. I was telling Jack that this weekend. So let me tell you guys this. Grown men and grown adults, especially over the age of 40, I'm in pretty decent shape, but my knees aren't what they used to be, right? Like, you know, my ankles, all the years of soccer. I still play pretty much on a daily basis, but I kind of go at my own pace now and stuff, and I don't want to chase around 22-year-olds. I just have no desire to do that. But I took Jack to he's like, we did a bunch of stuff. Went and saw Jumanji, went and played video games, and I got a great story about that too. But then we went he's like, Dad, can we go to the trampoline park? Will you jump with me? I'm like, all right, I'll jump with you. So you have to sign a waiver that basically says, if you crash and kill somebody, or they crash and kill you, or your head falls off, that they're not responsible. And my God, you know, I had a friend or two that had trampolines in their backyards when you're younger and you think you're indestructible. This isn't one of those situations, man. Like, you get to a certain area where the inertia's taken over, and you've got gravity, and you've got speed, and stuff's building up, and you can't stop at this point in time, right? But you're heading towards a wall that is going to do what? Shoot you back in the other direction. And it was just insane. It was just nuts. But there was a couple times where Jack's like, Dad, you're so high. And I thought, well, this is it. This is the way I'm going to go. I'm going to bounce out of this thing and land somewhere I'm not supposed to land, on some poor kid who's just sitting there trying to eat his pizza and celebrate his 5th birthday. Oh, my goodness me. It was insane. But what a workout, man. I'm telling you, that is a workout and a half. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Hope you had a good weekend. Wounded Paw Project, an amazing organization. Been working with them for a while. Great organization all year round. But think about this time of year, right? Just for a second. Think about the soldiers, our men and women who've come home and who are struggling with PTSD, or maybe they're struggling with physical ailments as well. And they need something. They need help. And that help can come in the form of a dog. That's where Wounded Paw Project comes in. They recognize what's going on out there, especially around the holidays, and how tough it is. And what they do is they take shelter dogs and turn them into service dogs. And it's the most amazing thing to see the things that they do and see how the people who get these animals, our veterans, our first responders, our families, how it shapes their lives and changes their lives. And it goes so far from just them. Looking at what it does for the animal well is incredible. Now is your chance to help, right? Their motto is to save a paw is to save a life. And you can do it through the gift of a vehicle. Amazing tax-deductible gift. It's easy to donate. Go to woundedpawproject.org. And whether it's your car, your truck, your RV, even a boat, if it floats or flies, they'll take it. And you're going to be making changes to people's lives that you can't even talk enough about what this is going to do for them. Again, saving a paw to save a life. Check it out for yourself. They take cash as well. Go to woundedpawproject.org, woundedpawproject.org, or call 844-678-4729, 844-678-4729. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Plea deal this.
Mueller, arrest me.
Chad will trade you 2 perjury charges for 1 collusion and throw in a reduced charge of obstruction for free.
Yeah, I'd do that.
For just listening to The Chad Benson Show.
You yourself accused him of bribery. Why did you decide not to make bribery one of the articles of impeachment?
I myself am not a lawyer. Sometimes I act like one. Not as often as I act as a doctor. I practice medicine on the side without benefit of diploma, too. This is a decision that was recommended by our working together with our committee chairs, our attorneys, and the rest.
There you go. That's why. Because they're going to go with a bigger thing. They're going to go with abuse of power, right? Like that kind of covers everything. That's what. So if we go with abuse of power across the board, that touches every single thing. Right? He abused his power using bribery. He wanted this and he wanted that. Look at all the things that he did. And so abuse of power is so very vague, but at the same time, it's so massive that there you go. We're covering everything. And that also goes back to the point of people are asking the questions is why weren't there more charges? Because they want to. That's why I would have, instead of abuse of power, I would have nailed down 1 or 2 things where we could point at him and say, look at this. It's undeniable, all the things that you've left it be very vague. And, and that's the whole thing. Do you want to go wide and shallow or deep and narrow? And deep and narrow, I think, would have been better. But you're also running at this. You're running at impeachment at high speeds, and that's what other people are worried about. The 2 Democrats I talked to both said the big issues they have is the speed at which this is taking place feels just a little too much for them. And you got to remember, the people that are doing all of these things, who are pushing for this, many of them are in districts that it doesn't matter as long as you have a D by your name. They're not up in districts where there's a potential to lose. They're not. They're in districts where they know they're safe. So you're more willing to do something if you know you're safe. And remember, it's about what? It's about themselves. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. SCOTUS has spoken.
Homeless people who sleep on sidewalks or other public spaces cannot be prosecuted for a crime. That is what the nation's top justices decided by leaving in place a lower court ruling. The case stemmed from a Boise, Idaho ordinance that made it a crime if someone was homeless and they slept on the street when no alternative shelter is available. An appeals court ruled that the ordinance, which fined and jailed the homeless, violated the constitutional ban on cruel and unusual punishment. The justices, without comment or dissent, decided to not hear the case, leaving in place that ruling. It impacts several Western states struggling with homelessness, a result of increasing housing costs and income inequality.
Yeah, that's a portion of it. And we talked a bit about it last week about a lot of it is drugs and mental illness, a good portion of it, depending on where you are in the country. I mean, even LA County, who did their own, realized they're saying it's anywhere between 67 and 70% that they believe it's mental illness and drugs. And it might be a bit of both, right? Through drugs, mental illness. And here's my thing. What if there are shelters and you don't want to go to them? Because that's also the big thing. Wait, yeah, there's a shelter, but there are rules. Well, I don't want rules. Well, there you go. What are you going to do? And for a lot of Western states, they're struggling with this. San Francisco's gross. Seattle is gross. Certain parts of LA County and Orange County and other places they're just disgusting. And no, you shouldn't punish somebody because they're homeless. I think we can all realize that. But at the same time, what I think fascinates a lot of people, including myself, is how can you look at something like homelessness? And there's a difference between somebody who's down on their luck, right? A father and mother who are struggling. They've lost everything for whatever reason, but it wasn't, it wasn't drugs and alcohol and crack and all. I mean, it wasn't any of these things. They're struggling because the world of finances is outpacing what they can do, and they need a hand up. And people who are genuinely struggling with drugs, don't want to live by the rules. Some of them want to live out there and like the fact that they're not tethered to anything. People who are mentally ill, those are the people that we need to be looking at, because, quite frankly, they're not going to follow the rules, right? And even if there's a shelter available, the reality is they may go there for a night, but they're going to leave in the middle of it, and they're not staying there. So how do you deal with that? If you're a state, how do you deal with it? And throwing money after money after money. My God, the amount of money they throw at the homeless problem, and they never actually put it in, the average person would sit back and go, sweet mama jamma, what are you doing? You guys are insane. You're building this for people who aren't going to use. I mean, you're nuts. You're nuts. Maybe we should get you examined. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. The butt slap heard around the world has now become a crime. We discuss. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
You guys want to hear something awful? This is The View earlier.
But I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about my job here. Senators that are in the Senate. The Republican Senate. Here's what's happening now. We're gonna show ever. Girl, please stop talking. Please stop talking right now. Because you know what? What's happening? Thank you. No problem. Thank you. I won't talk the rest of the show. No problem. Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. If you're gonna behave like this.
Oh my God. All right, guys, let's all talk at the same time. That's all I hear. No idea what they're talking about. Doesn't matter. It's just awful. We were talking about, I'm like, what do they think they get paid? Whoopi gets like $6 million a year, 5 to 6. Megan's the lowest paid. She gets like $1 million to sit around and drink coffee and all talk over each other. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So this week, you've got impeachment, all that stuff's going on. We'll be touching at that throughout the day. You got all that stuff happening, blah-de-blah-de-blah. But Thursday, we're supposed to have a Democratic debate, except for the fact that
a threat to boycott, placing the next Democratic debate in jeopardy. The 7 candidates who have qualified vowing they won't cross a union picket line to get to the stage. The Democratic Party now scrambling to find a resolution before Thursday as the California labor union Unite Here 11 plans to continue to picket on Loyola Marymount University's campus.
Yeah, and they're the cafeteria workers, so that's all it takes to derail them. It's the cafeteria workers. Cafeteria workers unite! Oh my God, that is awful. That is so awful. Now they want to change the rules too, to allow Julian Castro and Cory Booker to be a part of the next debate, if they have a next debate. I mean, think about this. If I'm watching this, right, and I'm seeing that they may not do something, I would go and totally, wherever they're going to do the next thing, try to make sure you're totally unionized and get everybody there to unionize, or else nothing. So we'll see what takes place if there is going to be one. I don't think so. And remember, this has already moved from UCLA to Marymount because UCLA was having issues when it came to union and non-union employees and the whole 9 yards. So they decided we're going to move. So they moved it here, and now this may not happen. That's a win. Too close to Christmas. Impeachments everywhere. That feels like a win to me. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. So this became a story last week. You had a reporter, young reporter, who got slapped on the butt while doing a live hit, as they would call it in the business, for like a fun run in Georgia. And then she became like, she was everywhere, right? And she was just destroyed. She said, oh my God, this guy took away my power. And you're like, okay, whatever. I mean, it was stupid. It was asinine. He came out and apologized. Now we've got an update.
The man accused of slapping WSAV reporter Alex Bozargian on the rear has now been arrested. Thomas Calloway turned himself in. He is charged with sexual battery.
I did not see her facial reaction as I just kept on running. And if I did see her facial reaction, I would have been embarrassed and I would have stopped, turned around and went back and apologized to her.
Calloway was released on a $1,300 bond. Alex's attorney, Gloria Allred, says Alex is looking forward to justice in this case.
All right, producer Phil, just want to ask you something. First of all, you hear those words, Gloria Allred, and you roll your eyes. Secondly, when you hear the word justice over a butt slap, what goes through your mind?
Oy.
Yeah.
That goes through my mind.
Yeah, except at all. Look, what he did was stupid. Does it rise to the level of sexual assault or battery? Are we really doing this? Right? Are you that much of a victim? I mean, when I saw her, first of all, she was everywhere, right? She was all over the place talking about this. Like, oh, this is this, or this is that, or it's this, or it's that. And oh my, and he took my power and I'm trying to get my power back. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, what? First of all, no. If you gave him your power, if a butt slap is all it takes to steal your power, your life is going to be very, very tough. I'm not saying it was right. I think we all know it was wrong. It was stupid. But I do not think he set out that morning, he's like, I'm going to slap her in the ass and this is going to be great. I think it was something that was spur of the moment and asinine. I think we'd all agree with that. But at some point in time, like, this is what we're doing now? Oh, my Lord.
I have taken away so much from her. I don't want to. I'd never intended to. I want to listen to her to find out what I can do to make things better for her, and not just for her, for every single woman. You're an amazing woman. From what I've gathered, I did not mean to do this. I apologize. This was not right. This was not a good thing to do. It was an awful mistake, and I am very sorry, and I look forward to the opportunity to sit down and meet you and tell you in person that I'm sorry.
Well, you're not going to be able to because you are evil. I'm not trying to look. Yeah, I am downplaying because I think it's stupid, right? I think it's dumb. I think it's stupid. I think you've at some point in time, this is where you wonder why we look around and we say, is this for real? Well, Chad, in this Me Too world, there are real issues out there that need to be dealt with, right? There are real bad actors out there. This was a guy who did something stupid in the spur of the moment. He didn't roofie her. He didn't rape her. He slapped her butt. I get it. It was wrong. It's stupid. But now what do we do with him, right? So we put him in jail for 5 days, right? We make him lose his job. We definitely hashtag Me Too, big red letters everywhere. We make sure he never works again. Maybe we can drive him into suicide to make a point because you felt you were robbed of something? Are you kidding me? No, I think it's ridiculous. I do. And the fact that we're even talking about, well, maybe we should have this big meeting, and it's just in this big meeting, and we should. No, look, if you're going to give him your power, which is what you said, he took my power away. I've had more women roll their eyes when they heard that and tweet at me, text me, or people that I've done, like, you go and do radio hits and just say, I find this to be stupid. What he did was, and we can all agree, it was stupid. It was wrong. It was stupid. We move on with ourselves. I mean, if somebody came in here today and slapped my ass, I would laugh and move on with my life. Well, Chad, you're different. Why am I different? About 6 years ago, I was in a situation where a coworker did something very, very bad to the point where if I did that to her, I could have been arrested. I reported it, nothing happened, and I, whistleblowing, and this was not her first issue, got in trouble for it. They took away some of my reads and sponsors because they were hers. She didn't take away my power. It was ridiculous. You just roll your eyes and you move on. Why? Because she was a big money maker for the company. And this is before my show had gone national, had done anything like that. You live with it and you move on. I don't know what her life is like in the past. I'm just saying at some point in time, can cooler heads not prevail? Are we past that point now where it's like, this is what we're doing? I mean, producer Anthony said, my God, what's going to happen one day when you give a hug to somebody or they give you a hug? We're already there. We're past that point. We're past that point. We're well past that point, and we're moving on to something else, and I don't know what that's going to look like. It's going to look like robots. Pretty soon, ladies, you don't have to worry about men. We're going to build all the robots we need. You can have your robots. Other people have their robots, and we won't even have to talk anymore. It'll be great. Right? That'll be great. Will that be good? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. So remember last week, Producer Phil, we were talking about James Bond, and I said at some point in time, this has got to stop.
Yeah.
The James Bond, because people are pushing for James Bond to be a woman. I said it can't be a woman. I got people blasting me. Yes, it can. No, it can't be a woman. It just can't. Some things are no. Right? Some things are absolutely, okay, that is, you're now trying to appeal to a certain audience based out of fear or political correctness, and you're willing to blow up a certain portion of your brand because you think it's the necessary thing to do. No, sometimes you just go, you know what? He's James Bond, right? He's James Bond. He's a guy. That's it. There you go. We're moving on. Period. Case closed. End of story. At some point in time, and there's a lot of great spies that are women, right? A lot of cool movies. But at some point in time, you're just like, no, this is what it is. And we can all move on from that. Not everything needs to be woke to be enjoyed by everybody. But man, I got some pushback. How dare I? I'm like, well, tell me how James Bond, because James Bond is more of a feeling. It's James Bond. It's a franchise. Could you imagine if we've decided to chase Jason and Michael Myers aren't going to be Jason and Michael Myers. It's going to be Linda and Carol. How stupid would that be? What happened? Well, she had a hockey mask and she came at me, and then I punched her in the face and she fell over, and then we all went back to what we were doing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You just advocated violence. I'm just making a point. Get over yourselves. Somebody just tweeted at me, asked me if I really did do the bouncy. Oh my God. Those trampoline parks are insane. There was one guy there, who is perpetually always single, and this was his exercise, and he was younger, but this is all he does, and he's showing off for all the 10-year-olds there. Right? Like he's doing flips. I tried to flip and I did it, but I got too far over, and so I crashed. But man, Those trampoline parks are insane. No wonder I don't even know. And now they've got this ninja setup for have you ever watched by the way, the whole ninja show, try to do a few of those things. It's nuts. It is crazy. It is. I tried to do a couple. I'm like, nope. This ends in a dislocated shoulder for Chad. I'm going to pass on that. My Pillow's amazing. They got brand new soft, beautiful towels. They're bath towels. They're incredible. They're huge. They're massive. They're comfortable. Luxury feel and look. There's no fillers or cheap cotton or any of that stuff. It is absolutely amazing. 100% U.S.-made cotton. So you get 30 by 56. So they're extra soft, really big. 60 by 30 hand towels. And they got washcloths too. 5 designer choices. Right now is a perfect time to order for Christmas, for yourself, for the new year. They're incredible. And when I'm talking about You wash them and they still feel the same as when you got them. This is how amazing they are. You can save big, 30% off right now. Go to mypillow.com, click on the new radio listener special, type in code Benson, saves you 30%. Mypillow.com, new radio listener special, code Benson, or call 800-983-4975 and use code Benson to save yourself 30%. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
Occasionally. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Somebody just tweeted at us. Unwanted sexual touching or contact has always been a crime, and that idiot was dumb enough to do it on live TV. He has no case. Okay, so what should we do? What should we do? Should he go to jail forever? Or can we just move on? Because it happens all the time. It does, whether people want to believe it or not. And we don't get to pick and choose certain things, right? Like, well, it's a guy. If you did that to a guy, it's no big deal. Well, no, if we're going to keep it, let's just do it for everybody. But at the same time, at some point in time, what also stands out in people's lives is, you know what? Stop being victims all the time. That's it. God, we've allowed a younger generation to be, it's a badge that they want to carry around, a victim. What's your victimness? What's happened to you where you've been so wronged in life? Oh, yeah, that happened to you. Somebody else had more than you did? Oh, that's not nice. Yeah, what happened to her was stupid and dumb. And we can all agree. But at the same time, can we, wouldn't it just be nice, just once, where somebody goes, and we move on with it? Right? Where the person goes, the guy's an idiot. And you're like, oh, I get you. That's cool. That's smart. Well, we don't do that anymore, though. Right? We don't. And instead, we kind of go in the exact opposite, where we're like, okay, we're going to get you therapy, and we're going to get this guy thrown away forever, and we're going to cancel his life because this is cancel culture, so that'll work, and this is all going to be, no, it's just, you know what? At some point in time, you go, that was stupid. You're an idiot. And we move on.
The year was 1929. The New York Yankees playing the Indians in Cleveland. It was the game that Yankee legend Babe Ruth, in a towering shot over the right field wall, hit his 500th homer. Nobody had done it before, and only 27 Major League players have reached that mark since. That historic bat given to his friend, former Suffern, New York Mayor Jim Rice in the 1940s. His family holding on to it for nearly 75 years, putting it up for auction Saturday, sold to a winning bidder for more than $1 million. California's SCP auctions not identifying the buyer.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, right? Like the family hung on to that thing for a long time, and, at some point in time, I guess you get rid of it. $1 million. That's a good Christmas gift, right? Maybe you got 4 kids. You're like, you guys are going to all split it amongst each other. Merry Christmas. But that's artwork. Isn't it funny about, like, what we pay for certain things? Like, somebody will pay how much for a watch, right? And people say, well, that's stupid. And somebody will pay how much for a comic book or for a baseball bat. People are like, that's stupid. And other people pay $120,000 for a duct tape banana against the wall. And people are like, oh, that's stupid. It is what it is. Whatever it is that you like to spend money on, and you've got that kind of cash for something, and it means something to you, that's all that should matter. It is all that should matter. I was reading a great article today about why millionaires are happier than the average person. And it had little to do with money and all to do with how they spend some of their money and what they choose to do with their time. And people will say, well, it's because they have money that they can do some of these things. Yeah, some of that's true, right? But a lot of it's like working out. Anybody can work out, right? Like millionaires tend to work out a little bit more. Relationships, they say they spend more time with people and they work on personal relationships in a much different way than people that are average. And they studied millionaires all over the globe, and they were looking at it, and they all kind of had a lot of these common denominators. And the other thing is they all had hobbies that they were passionate about. How many people listening right now have a really cool like hobby or something like that? How many have that, like for me, I don't know if it's a hobby or whatever, it's a passion of my lizards. I love my lizards. I enjoy my lizards. I do a lot of, like last night, it's gone. I get home. First thing I do, go see my lizards. What are you guys doing? What have you guys been up to? Lloyd, you've done something. I know you're in another cage because but that's kind of my passion, right? And I love soccer and I play it still and I run around, but that was something I did for so long and it's great for my fitness, but that's part of it as well. It's what makes people happy. And if you want to spend $1 million on a baseball bat and you have that kind of change, right? Great. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.